Hello. It brings me no pleasure to bring to you another episode discussing fascism and contemporary fascism. Very recently, I've been talking quite a lot about this topic. I have a 4-hour documentary that I produced maybe a month ago, something like that. If people are interested in a more thorough engagement with some academic resources on fascism, highlighting my main views and concerns about contemporary fascism, particularly in America. And what I came across yesterday was this debate discussion on Jubilee. Jubilee being a show that hosts this debate style format thing where, the idea is that there's a hero in the center and they're surrounded by people who disagree. And those people who disagree have the opportunity to come forward and talk to the person that they disagree with. And the videos are of kind of mixed quality. In this one, Mehdi Hasan, who is a left-wing journalist, is in the center, and he's surrounded by these far-right Republicans. I don't know exactly the question that was put out by Jubilee in terms of how people self-identify, but at least from what Mehdi Hasan says multiple times, it's far-right Republicans was the request that was put out. And basically, several of the people in that outer group express support for incredibly extreme views, and views that I think are indicative of a normalization and mainstreaming of political fascism. I don't even know where I stand on this with regards to whether it's a good idea to be like covering and promoting the fact that these ideas are out there. I think that part of what my hope is that there's still such a taboo around this word. People feel so uncomfortable using it that actually there is a sense of there is a type of politics that is so extreme in this particular type of way that we do not accept it and recognize the need to push that out if it exists and starts rearing its head, and that's a kind of call to action to people to really switch on to what's going on politically around them. But also maybe that's wrong, right? Maybe engaging with this sort of thing only serves to embolden people with these views. I'm not particularly clear on what I think about that myself, but anyway, I mean, maybe this is all just a vain "I told you so" when I've been kind of saying, that a lot of these people are fascists, and when people have been giving me pushback, I can now say, look, they now feel sort of comfortable taking the mask off in these circumstances. So I'm going to review a few of the engagements in this video and provide a little bit of commentary upon that.
Search surrounded, plug in.
Is defying the.
So let's go to the claims.
My next claim is that Donald Trump is defying the Constitution.
Let me know in the chat if there are any issues with the audio or anything like that.
Nice
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Mehdi, lovely to meet you.
So I would say that with Trump being anti-Constitution, I don't really care, to be quite frank with you. Because in regards...
I don't know why. I don't know what psychological phenomena underpins this like clapping that a few of the people sort of in the surrounding group do on a few points. I've not actually seen this behavior before, and I've watched maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 of these Jubilee surrounded videos before. And kind of early on in this video, in an earlier engagement that Mehdi has, someone says something that's particularly extreme about white people. I'll come to review this clip, but about white people being the Native Americans. And, I sort of laugh because it's so ridiculous. I don't know what to say, but that's an incredibly crazy view to hold. And I think says a lot about this person's ethno-nationalist politics, which we'll get onto. And people clap at that. And Mehdi's like, what are people clapping for? And, he makes a joke when the guy gets voted out, the people that were clapping for you just voted you out. But it's almost as if they're kind of like primed to clap whenever they hear something edgy said or something. So, you know, there's these points that are kind of like lines in the sand for democracy, like in American constitutional democracy. Well, you know, to become a citizen, you take an oath to the Constitution. People in the army take an oath to the Constitution. It's like as if there's this shared tapestry to which all Americans, regardless of Republicans or Democrats, agree to about the Constitution being this important thing for American government. And the people who are on this extreme come along and just make some edgy claim like, I don't even care about the Constitution. And then they're all like, woo, because they just love kind of rejecting the idea of there being any common ground or room for reconciliation. And they're so kind of tied into this edginess thing. I mean, I don't know what else it is. I can't really explain it very well personally,
to be quite frankly. Because with Trump being anti-constitution, I don't really care, to be quite frankly. Because
also it's just not a grammatical sentence. With Trump being anti-constitutional, I don't even care, quite frankly.
Trump being anti-constitution, I don't really care, to be quite frankly.
I don't even care, to be quite frankly. You mean you'd either say I don't even care, to be frank, or quite frankly, I don't even care. He's yeah, who cares?
Because in regards to the Constitution is a document that should seek to serve us. And when it fails to seek to serve us, that can
Who's us?
be amended. Laws can be changed. And quite frankly, the fact is we're defending things in this country that shouldn't be defended. The First Amendment should not defend pornography and making children and women be victimized. Making women and children be victimized as a result of that. I think things like blasphemy.
So here's the thing. I agree with his point here, though I think that we actually would have substantive disagreements about what that would mean in terms of legal interpretation, any modifications that would be made, and whether or not making modifications to the Constitution in certain ways would entail having a complete disregard for it, the role that it plays in maintaining a particular type of democratic political apparatus, right? And whether that entails complete disregard for the Constitution and anything goes up to and including authoritarianism, demagoguery, monarchism, and fascism, right, as alternatives. You know, it turns out it's actually possible to question how certain aspects of the Constitution are being used and interpreted legally and think that they might need some precisification or modification in some way, and not to think that that means just rejecting the whole thing and replacing it with some authoritarian vision.
Shouldn't be allowed per the First Amendment. I think that, quite frankly, there are a lot of legal processes that are enabling.
And regardless of whether or not you think that that change should come about, it would then still be true that someone was defying the Constitution, right? If they were behaving a certain way. For example, you know, like there are laws that I would question in the UK, but it would still be true that I was breaking the law if I were to violate those laws, right? And so insofar as I might claim to care politically about rule of law, if I was disobeying those things that were laws when I didn't like them, then it would be inconsistent with my professed values. So if I was saying that I cared about the Constitution, I mean, this guy's obviously said he doesn't. But if I was saying, you know, a core part of my identity as an American, which is something that some Republicans may believe, it is that I'm constitutional, that I believe in the Constitution, then it would be a problem if someone that you supported was going against what is in the Constitution, even if you believed it should be modified, right? Whereas it sounds like this guy has realized the problem with the guy that he likes is, or a guy that he supports in some capacity is acting against the Constitution, then he's maybe reasoned his way back from there to consistency.
Criminals and bad people to fully enact their will in this country in the name of the Constitution or following the Constitution. So
let me just check for audio issues as well. If I just come back to the chat, see if anyone's saying. don't think that anyone is reporting issues with the audio, so that's all good.
Quite frankly, if Trump is anti-constitution, good, and I think he should go further.
So this is.
Oh goodness, this guy. We have proper chimp behavior on display here.
Quite frankly, if Trump is anti-constitution, good, and I think he should go.
I don't know.
Further.
I wonder, like maybe, and this is the thing. First off, I detest again this guy, Edgehammer 40K. His, brain rotted, just fishing to say edgy stuff. I'll hold in my most resentful, spiteful comments for the part where he really deserves it, but I just want to observe the chimp behavior.
So this is wonderfully revealing of the modern conservative mindset. So I appreciate you spelling it out so openly. Just checking, do you support the Second Amendment?
I do.
Okay.
This is where, in my head, and first time I watched this, I incorrectly predicted what Mehdi was going to say, and this is where what I was hoping and what I may have wanted to say, because I think that, I don't know if this is right, I could be wrong on this, but I think that you can out-edge the edgelords, so in some ways, when you figure out the game that they're playing. And so, like, when he says, "Do you support the Second Amendment?" I was thinking he was going to say, "So you and your fascist buddies keep, violating the Constitution, and me and my buddies will come and shoot you in the face. How about that?" But he didn't say that.
Surprise! I was shocked to hear that. I'm saying that Donald Trump is defying the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. He's thinking of defying the 12th and 22nd Amendments. Mm-hmm. You're saying you don't care about the Constitution, but actually you do, because you quite like the Second Amendment. You just don't like the bits that you disagree with. Can I just be clear on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm more than willing to amend it and
whenever it's in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And arguably, maybe Mehdi's approach is more powerful than mine, where I think I'm just like so fatigued of all of the nonsense that comes out of these people, and I think I see quite transparently through that they don't care at all about rational discourse. They're not going to change their mind. They merely want to normalize these points by having them broadcasted. And so I'm a little bit like, well, let's just jump to what you're actually saying, which is, I'm going to just use power to do what I want, and if you won't use force to stop me, I will do what I want. So that's your choice, whether you'll put up with that or not. Maybe Mehdi's approach is slightly better than my kind of confrontational approach, because it makes him hang himself with his own rope, which could be more powerful in terms of informing people's beliefs. My only concern there is if it remains abstract for people, it remains entertainment without realizing that this is what's happening in politics, and it is actively shaping, these views are becoming the norm in terms of what people who live around you, who are making policies and things like that, actually believe.
Democrats do the same when they're in office.
No, absolutely not. Because
so you don't believe in democracy?
No, I don't. Absolutely not.
What do you believe in?
Autocracy.
See how he says it with this smile, this sort of like psychotic.
Democracy.
No, I don't. Absolutely not.
He says, I don't know if it's just his face, but at least the way that I interpret it, and this could be a mistake, is that every time he says one of these edgy things, he has this sort of psychopathic smile on his face of like, have I just hurt you? And as if he's trying to take some kind of sadistic pleasure in the fear or terror of him saying some extreme or edgy thing. And again, that's where my sort of approach with someone like this would be to basically just get clear, like, okay, are our value disagreements so stark that you're not even interested in rational debate on policy issues that we could disagree about? Am I correct in thinking that you only care about seizing power and using that against the political ideas that I have, and how I think that the law should work, and what I think a just society and world looks like? Is that true? Yes. And then say, so is my only option, if I want to stop you, to use force to do that? Yes. And I say, well, I think the discussion's over, right? And for me, at least for someone with that takes away their opportunity to have the psychopath smile of, well, you're scared because I'm willing to dog whistle and imply a complete rejection of your values, and to talk about overthrowing democracy without fear and with happiness. And it makes me happy to see the fear in your eyes. And I think that just accepting that you know exactly what they're up to, and telling them that you know what they're up to, and saying, yeah, well, here's the consequences from my point of view if you do that. Like, here's a promise from me. And again, I'm not an American, but I can give that same sort of promise to Reform and EDL type people in the UK. You know, it's something. Does it have an effect? That's an empirical question that I don't have good information on, but it's at least a line in the sand, you know, which I think could potentially be better than having the entertainment but not doing anything to stop these people from just consistently pushing boundaries.
What do you believe in?
Autocracy.
By who?
What do you believe in? Satan. I worship Satan. This guy, fucking hell.
Honestly, quite frankly, anyone who is in line with Catholic teaching.
I would be interested to see if this guy has read like Ed Feser's Catholic Integralism, and to see what his actual influences are. Of course, within Catholicism, there's a broad array of disagreement, and what he's describing here as Catholic teaching is absolutely not what the current or previous popes would have or do teach about either what's required in American politics or what Christian governance looks like. So what he's expressing is a very particular extremist fringe Catholic view that does exist within Catholicism, but is in no way like the sort of prevalent or mainstream Catholic view. There isn't even a prevalent Catholic mainstream view, because, you know, the Catholic Church is as pluralistic as the human race, right? And all of the different political values that are expressed and represented within humanity, you can find expressed and represented within Catholicism. I'm not saying they follow the exact same proportions or ratios as they do in the human race more generally, but there absolutely isn't, you know, the teaching of the Catholic Church with respect to political governance. There are obviously some specific claims about morality and social policy and things like that, but in particular, with respect to what the sort of thing that he's hinting at of demagoguery, that is absolutely no part.
Donald Trump is not.
This guy is just like tweaking through the whole thing.
Catholic.
Of course, he's not. I completely agree, and that's part of the problem.
Trump? You don't support Trump?
No, I don't. I didn't even vote for him. I wrote in like John Pork or someone. I can't even remember.
Why did you vote if you don't believe in democracy and you want autocracy?
Well, because
so here I'm going to highlight in Mehdi's question. Maybe it's a smart question because he's trying to get the guy to say the quiet part out loud. From my point of view, it's incredibly obvious. And this is, again, part of democracy's weak point, right? Is that people who don't believe in it still get an equal vote. I don't know exactly how I feel about that. Maybe they still should. I don't have like a well thought through, considered view. It's the same with free speech, right? Where free speech is this weak point in democracy for people to spread misinformation and to spread hateful lies that will subvert democracy and lead to fascism in the end. But you know, I don't really know what my kind of well-considered view is on that. But the point is that for guys like this, you know, they feel that they can use democracy to get their people in power and then take it away, you know, and then pull the rug out from under everyone else once they're in. And that's, you know, the way that the guy who wrote that Christian nationalism book and Andrew Wilson talk about it. You know, the idea and the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, and Curtis Yarvin, that, you know, that their plan, and a plan that a lot of these people are on board with, is to use the tools of democracy to then just take over these institutions and then stop those institutions from being susceptible to change in the future, to use power in a way that they believe it's been used against them. I don't think it has been used. Well, depends on what they believe, right? If they have fairly moderate conservative viewpoints, I don't think it's been used against them in that way. If they have like literally neo-Nazi views, then I do obviously think that there have been, you know, laws and laws around those sorts of things, and people have not been able to get into positions of power for those views. And so if their grievance is, you use power against us in that way, and we're going to sort of like outlaw any views that disagree with us in the same sort of way. Well, the reason I don't think that grievance is legitimate is because I think that those values are so abhorrent that the solution to them is not to give them a room at the dinner table, right? It's to use force to prevent them from doing what they want, whether that be state force or organized, you know, force against the state should they manage to seize power. But that's another point.
Quite frankly, I voted. I kind of voted just to.
I came with this argument, but I'm bored of my own argument. I'm much more interested in this. So
yeah, absolutely.
How do we get to an autocracy?
I think, quite frankly, that if we are able to enact local leaders,
who is the we, by the way?
I think, quite frankly, these far right conservatives sitting right around
white
me.
people.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
So,
well, actually,
you guys,
what? See the chimp mode guy claps at the white people thing.
Conservatives sitting right around
white
me.
people.
Yeah,
but then he kind of stops when he realizes no one else is joining in with the clapping. And this guy is also constantly looking for approval from the audience as well.
No
absolutely.
So
look at this just like shit-eating grin on his face. At least this person is like cringing at what he's saying about white people. So I suspect there's at least like one sort of normal person. It also looks like this guy, again, hard to read. This guy looks like he's got a kind of grimace on his face at that. This guy looks a little bit like he's got a shit-eating grin, and this guy absolutely has a shit-eating grin. So maybe it's not exactly unanimously representative of the group. I don't know if anyone puts up their red flag.
Well, actually,
no, I don't see it. Obviously, this guy stops applauding when he realizes he's on his own. Again, classic chimp behavior.
I have quite
some of the people in this room don't make the cut from what I can see visually.
Actually, hold on for a moment. I do think that there are people who happen to not be white who do actually have history in this country and have roots in this country. For instance, from the Mexican-American War, we subsumed a lot of territory of people who have far stakes in this country who happen to be Hispanic or what have you. I'm for defending the traditional demographics of this country, which is
people who have stakes in this country. I wonder what that means. What does it mean to have stakes in this country? And if that means something about property ownership, investment in businesses, those sorts of things, where does that leave the poorest people who don't have those sorts of things, even if they happen to be white, which would potentially predominantly be the voting base, the folk that someone like this might claim to be a representative of? You know, in what sense do those people have a stake in society, other than the fact that they just happen to exist? And this isn't a point against those people, right? I think that the state has an obligation towards these people and people who have money have an obligation towards these people to help them out in various ways. But it's not clear. So this guy's principle is that if you have a stake in the country, then you have some legitimate basis for citizenship. But what exactly does that mean, right? What does having a stake in the country mean? For example, I have a stocks and shares ISA and a pension fund, of which, you know, a proportion of that, maybe about 20 or 30%, is invested in, you know, mixed US assets, including government bonds and US stocks. Do I have more of a stake in society than someone on the poorer end of the US who doesn't have as much money invested directly in these US financial products? Or does that not count? Like, what exactly counts here as having a stake in American society?
Majority white,
so
and should stay that
How
way.
does the United States, I mean, we've gone so off topic, but how does the United States look like under you? Sorry, what's your name?
My name is...
Notice how he's very non-confident about using his real name.
I'm so off topic, but how does the United...
And this is, again, I tend to think that when I think I can understand why people would be reluctant to give away their real identities online. However, I do tend to think that it can be a bit of like projection where people are immediately assuming ill intent from people online to do to try and do harmful things against people having their identity information can be kind of projection or an availability, a reflection of an availability bias where the information you've got available to you is how the people around you tend to act with when presented with that sort of information for people that they disagree with.
United States look like under you? So what's your name?
My name is my name's Connor. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Took a little bit of a doubt there.
Oh well, I use a pseudonym online.
Yeah, not so proud of your fascist views now, are you? When
fair enough, Connor,
fair enough.
How would Connor's America look? What would it look like?
Well, quite frankly, I think we would deport people who shouldn't be here.
I didn't ask
who shouldn't be here.
What does the government look like?
What does the government look like?
Yeah.
I would say, quite frankly, it's under a sort of benevolent leader, such as
where does he?
See, I do think this is where I think, in terms of this line of questioning that Mehdi's asking, maybe this is quite smart because it makes him spell it. That this guy's so forthcoming with saying the quiet part out loud. Maybe this is quite a powerful thing for people who have been on the fence to hear someone so openly stating that.
It look like?
Yeah.
I would say, quite frankly, it's under a sort of benevolent leader, such as
where does he
Franco.
come from?
It could be a kind of aristocratic class. Could be someone
who picks the autocrat?
Frankly, the people. I mean, we could hold a vote on it. Kings were
isn't that democracy?
Well, sure.
Just for one time.
You can have a
one-time democracy, then it's bloodline. Then it's blood and soil, baby.
Vote to get to that stage.
And then no more votes afterwards.
Absolutely.
Wow.
100%.
Wow.
Vote to get to that stage.
And then, look, when he says no more votes afterwards, you're about to see the weird psychopath smile.
No more votes afterwards.
Absolutely.
Like what? It's so bizarre how every time he says this sort of thing, he has that smile on his face where he's sort of like expecting to take pleasure in the shock of someone who disagrees with him.
Wow.
100%.
Do you like that? This is a sort of thing that I'm not going to say what it makes me want to do and how I would like to reverse those power dynamics on people who do this sort of thing. But I will say that, people like Peter Boghossian, Andrew Wilson did turn down my offers to grapple with them.
Wow. And if that autocrat kills you and your family, you're fine with that?
Well, I'm not going to be a part of the group that he kills, because that's the whole thing.
How do you know?
Carl Schmitt
Autocrats tend to kill everyone,
Carl
even their own
Schmitt
supporters.
makes this point very well in his work. It's the friend-enemy distinction, right?
Carl Schmitt, the Nazi theoretician.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care.
Absolutely, I don't care.
You fan of the Nazis?
I don't care. I frankly don't
care
being called a Nazi.
He's not. No, he's saying it's like saying, in my favorite book, Mein Kampf, famed theoretician Joseph Goebbels said that to win an information war, we have to do X, Y. We have to normalize these beliefs using the mass communication of the age. You'd be like, hang on, why are your sources Adolf Hitler and Joseph Goebbels? Why are these the people you're taking inspiration from politically? And that's the question. And then he immediately he jumps to, I talk about this in my fascism video, one of these defense strategies against, because these words still have power with a lot of people, is to say, well, the word is meaningless because you lot are using it so much, so you can't even call me a fascist. It doesn't have any power. Unfortunately, because Mehdi hasn't just called him a fascist, but rather he has exposed himself by discussing the literal Nazi sources that he's using to inform his worldview. Unfortunately, he's left himself open to the question, are you a fan of fascists? And so he's not been directly accused of it. And so this kind of semantic gumming up the works of trying to pretend the word has no meaning and couldn't possibly apply to you, even though you hold all of the same beliefs and idolize and look up to these people, isn't available to him.
I didn't say that. I didn't actually say that. I said, are you a fan of the Nazis?
Well, they persecuted the church a little bit. I'm not a fan of that. But
what about the...
I think saying something like that is just crazy. Like, you know, the first thing your mind goes to is they persecuted the church a little bit, rather than the 6 million Jews that they killed in the Holocaust being, you know, quite one of the first things that comes to your mind. Is it can't be anything but a dog whistle, right?
Persecution of the Jews.
It's like, well, you know, I think they could have fought harder against the bloody communists. You know, they didn't need to overextend the supply lines in the Eastern Campaign. That was the big mistake. You know, I'm not a fan of how they handled the invasion of Russia. They should have waited for the supply lines to solidify. But other than that, pretty bloody good, I'd say.
Well, I mean, I certainly don't support anyone's human dignity being assaulted. I'm a Catholic.
That is quite clearly not true with respect to the people who he puts in the enemy distinction under Carl Schmitt's views of things politically. So because it absolutely assaults someone's human dignity to have masked men snatch them and disappear them somewhere to a concentration camp.
But you don't condemn Nazi persecution of the Jews?
I think that there was...
Look at this person looking around and realizing, oh, damn, these are the people in the belief group that I'm in.
There's a little bit of persecution and stuff
may
like
have
that.
A little bit.
to rename this show because you're a little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
Hey, what can I say? The evil thoughts I'm having, you know, especially with that smile on his face, like my darkest fantasies with that smile, there is just the sound of a rifle.
I think you could say I'm more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
Just the crack of a 50 cal.
I think you say I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Oh my God, are you ready?
So you have to rename this show because you're a little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you could say I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, look at all the people clapping. Who's clapping in the audience here?
You say I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am.
I don't know. This guy's clapping. This guy's clapping. This guy's clapping. I don't know if people are sort of smiling due to them being very uncomfortable. A few people have put red flags up directly. This is the thing that's crazy about this is it makes everyone feel... This guy just said, I am evil and you need to kill me to stop me doing what I want. And, you know, maybe it's a normal human reaction to laugh at how uncomfortable that might make you. Maybe it's endorsed. It's hard to say. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that this guy who's tweaking and Chimpzoid over here are loving it.
Absolutely.
She looks a little bit like, yikes. These people look a little bit like, oh my God, like laughter, you know?
I'm just checking who's clapping just to get my set of where everyone is on this. Because you know that millions of people are going to be watching you on YouTube and checking out who the fascists and the Nazis are.
I'm not ashamed of that whatsoever.
No, clearly you're...
I'm not ashamed of that. What? I have no idea what you even do with people at this point.
During the pre-war period, prior to World War II, it was only those parties that properly enacted the people's will. That's
Jesus Christ.
That's why they won.
And look how that led, you fool. And how do you think the people got that will? Through propaganda, preying on their grievances and negative emotions that were caused by things that were different than what the explanations were that they were given by the propagandists.
The conservatives were fat cats.
Are you in favor of killing people who aren't like you?
Quite frankly, I'm not. If
You mentioned
they,
Frank.
Look, he struggles with this one.
Are you in
didn't care.
favor of killing people who aren't like you?
Quite frankly, I'm not.
Look at how he's like, oh, I don't know what I should be, but there's a bit of tension because I still believe that I also said that thing earlier about being a Catholic, and you know,
You
If
mentioned
they-
Franco
if I'm not if.
earlier. Franco killed a lot of innocent people.
Oh, well, he killed communists. He killed people who raped nuns and killed priests.
What about children who he killed and women who he killed?
What are you talking about? He never killed any women or children. He was Catholic.
He only
dude.
killed combatants. Is that what you're
Yeah,
claiming?
he
now?
only killed combatants.
Never killed any innocent people.
The white terror was only punishing those people
Just on the fact check, yeah, he killed Catholic clergy who are deemed too liberal or loyal to the Spanish Republic.
who did acts of terrorism. And again, are
People who did acts of terrorism.
you supporting like
You see the weaponization of the language of terrorism used for people who politically disagree with you.
raping innocent women? Nuns, dude. Killing priests? I mean, priests don't brandish guns and kill
You
people.
just refuse to condemn the
They do, actually. They can do that as long as they have arms.
Nazi Holocaust, my friend. I don't think you're in a position to ask anyone any questions.
I quite frankly don't care what you think about me. If
And here we have it again. You know, I don't care what you think about me. It literally doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter what you say. And I think it's important that people who are disgusted by these political views realize this, that for these people, it does not matter what you say or think or value. There is one way to stop these people, unfortunately. And, you know, it just comes down to, I think, assessing whether or not you think that these sorts of people have enough of a foothold on power, or if you think that they're fringe enough that it's worth monitoring, but not doing anything about.
if I'm a Nazi and
the
being a
feeling
Nazi
is mutual.
if
So
being a Nazi means upholding human
Cut it down.
dignity, because I even believe in your dignity. I don't in
I
a state that I
with
was
the
running.
greatest of
I
respect,
wouldn't want to hurt
I don't
you or
debate.
anything like that. But
what are we
quite
doing here?
frankly,
I don't debate.
But it just might be necessary.
Fascists.
okay. So do you concede then? I mean, why
Do I concede you're a fascist who won't condemn the Nazis?
Yeah.
Yes, I concede. That.
Okay, great. So I mean, what are we doing here? Because I mean,
Exactly. I mean, what are you doing here? What is the point of continuing the discussion?
you
Don't
just seem
know what
offended.
you're doing here.
You
to be
just seem
honest.
offended, to be quite frankly. Like
I'm offended by people who can't condemn.
And I think that this is the point as well. In terms of the groundlessness of some values, I think that this is something people who are defenders of democracy will have to accept, because people often use ideas of rationality or even types of scientism to think that all of their values are justified, you know, but in virtue of some kind of like a priori justification or something like that. And I think that people who believe in democracy should accept just the historical contingency of their values, almost what a miracle they are in the long run of human history. I mean, maybe that's an overstatement. There's a lot of different societies that have had some similar good values, but just what a quirk it is that so many people all at once seem to have had broadly these values and the institutional power to create a certain type of world, yes, with some important blind spots that should be challenged, and to accept that the reason that they have those values is a product of their training and socialization and being raised in that sort of world and environment, and not a product of, you know, rational argumentation or something like that. And that some of those values are just going to be groundless. You know, that you're right, that there are going to be values that you have that I don't think that racism is wrong in virtue of some deeper principle. I don't think that democracy is good and should be protected in virtue of some deeper principle. Like, those are the deep principles for me. And you're right to say that I'm describing extremely negative emotions that I have towards you and your political goals. And you're doing the exact same thing, right? You're saying that you despise my values and my way of structuring society, and that you want to change that and persecute people in various ways. and you're saying that you're not open to discussion of those things, fine, and I'm not open to discussion of them either, in terms of the values of mine that you'd want to change. So what are our options?
And the Nazis, yes, I am.
Okay. Well, I condemn the evils that they did, but I don't really care about being. Yeah, sure. I don't care about being called a Nazi. Is the whole thing.
I never called you a Nazi.
I care
you
about
called
doing
yourself
the right
a Nazi,
thing.
a fascist, and a General Franco
supporter.
supporter.
Well, yeah, I am a General Franco supporter. He was awesome. He was so super cool, quite frankly. Because the whole.
Why is this guy?
Well, yeah, I am a General Franco supporter. He was awesome. He was so super cool, quite frankly.
These people who are like, do they even know? Like, could they? I'd genuinely be surprised if some of these people could point to Spain on a map. Like,
because the whole
and you
thing,
don't believe in democracy.
I don't believe in democracy.
What are you doing here?
I'm not very optimistic about the general state of American education. So.
Televised debates. This is democracy. Don't want to debate and disagree.
Because it is the means to support an end. The reason we have free speech now is because we want to be openly talking about our opinions so we can get the state that we want. But it doesn't mean
And that's good. That's a good quiet part out loud point as well, because so many of these people defending free speech, they're only doing it so they can then normalize certain points of view and take away the free speech of others.
Free speech after we win. Again, I mentioned
the only good thing about this fascist moment we're in is that you guys are so open about it.
The whole reason I mentioned
quiet part loud.
The whole reason I mentioned Carl Schmitt earlier, and you kind of blew past him, is the friend-enemy distinction. Even liberals, when they take power, they want to enact policies and they want to enact protections for their people and their ideas, and they're willing to punish their enemy.
I say on this, I don't know if the right thing is just to concede the point and say, you're right, so now what? Now what do we do, right? Just to make the point as salient and clear as possible. But maybe that's not the right approach, maybe.
And so I'm the same way. I'm like, hey, if you're going to punish me, I'm going to get in power, and I'm going to frankly punish you when you try to leverage power against me. Just that simple. Okay, let's go. Right, let's go. Like that. Maybe this is stupid and young and naive. I genuinely don't know. I don't know what the right thing is to do, but this is what these people are saying. This is what they're normalizing. And this is what an increasing number of people are believing. Is it a turn the other cheek moment? Maybe. Does the guy just need a hug? Maybe. Punish you when you try to leverage power against me. Just that simple.
I'm not sure what you want to say.
Hey, it is what it is.
All right. Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Okay, let's watch the comic relief. First, let's see what's going on in the chat. Just come back for a second. Terrifying, just jaw-droppingly terrifying. Yeah. This format is so awful. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Jess. Audio's good. Thank you, Anam. Yeah, Joe Blow says, I guarantee 99% of these folks are hoping for an opportunity for violence. They want a civil war and believe that the Trump administration will back them. Yeah, I think that is probably true for a lot of these people. And again, I don't know what the right approach is in terms of navigating that. I'm not an expert in constitutional law, and I don't understand the powers that different states have and things like that. Jeremy says, one theory I have is that they draw on their own attitude toward other parts of the world and become paranoid that people elsewhere have that attitude. Yes, I have observed this myself too, where they often have an incredibly sinister view of what certain groups of people are doing who they oppose, like migrants, the woke, you know, and then that is literally just what they're doing, and then they think that they're justified because in their conspiracy theory that's what those people were doing in the first place. We'll move on to the comic relief Chimpanzini Bananini fellow soon. Roman says the only reason to speak to these people is to bring them out in the open, otherwise they're lost souls. Yeah, that might be true. Might be true. Okay, let's go back to this, and we will review the comic relief character.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Mehdi.
What is it?
Mehdi.
You're from northern UK, I guess?
I'm from London, North
Okay,
London.
okay, fair enough. What's your ethnic background?
His first question. What's your ethnic background?
Yes?
I'm from.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Mehdi.
What is it?
Mehdi.
You're from northern UK, I guess?
I'm from.
I wonder why this guy said that, because he doesn't sound like he's from north at all. He's clearly a southern pufter, and can tell from his elite journalism job and all. God, I don't even feel like being funny, given how sick I feel from some of these views that have been put forward. Maybe just speculating. Maybe this guy has been watching, like, American right-wing conspiracy stuff about how, like, Bradford has fallen to Islam or something, and I don't know.
From London, North London.
Okay.
Because I heard the North is a no-go zone. It's filled with you people.
Fair enough. What's your ethnic background, if you don't mind asking?
My parents are from India.
Okay, perfect. Just getting premise here. First of all, I want to say
The premise of Donald Trump being pro-crime.
No. I want to concern myself with why you care about what's happening in the U.S., first and foremost. Secondly,
why do you care? I can't even do the accent. Why do you care when your parents are from India, from Koreastan or something?
I want to say this. The
Should
argument,
should people who live in the US not care about?
Let's not interrupt each other. Because I have this thing, like, people know I have this thing. I have to stay calm, okay? Let's not interrupt each other. Because I have this thing, like, people know I have this thing. I have to stay calm.
That is fucked up in so many ways. I mean, first off, that is like, someone check in on this man's wife, assuming he has one. But that's an that's an incredibly manipulative way of engaging in a conversation. You have to respect my feet. You have to walk on eggshells around me, or I might get violent. I think the appropriate response to that is "fuck you, you inbred orc. You look like an orc." I don't know. Again, I think that this just genuinely highlights some quite deep psychopathology at play here. I am not someone who can medically diagnose, but that is very indicative of a broader abusive pattern of behavior that someone might engage in.
Okay.
It's giving Hegseth vibes.
I am happy that he released J6. In fact, so much so that I was prepared to protest if he didn't.
Okay.
So when you say, are you okay that he's pro-crime? Sure, because you know what? We're
Do you know what you should have said? You were what?
happy.
Wait.
I have to stay calm. Let's not interrupt each other. Because I have this thing, like, people know I have this thing. I have to stay calm. Okay, so.
All right, Hulk. All right, Hulk. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Would I not like you when you're angry? Nice green shirt, by the way.
Okay.
Hulk.
Here's the thing. I am happy that he released J6. In fact, so much so that I was prepared to protest if he didn't.
Okay.
So when you say, are you okay that he's pro-crime. Sure, because you know what? We're changing the definition of what crime is, first and
You
foremost.
don't think stomping on police officers' heads is a crime?
I don't think it's no longer a relevant conversation
It's no longer a relevant conversation whether or not it's a crime.
anymore. You're
Really?
arguing. No, it's not, because you know
Is it a crime or isn't it a crime?
what? Okay, have you seen the U.S. in the last 4 or 5 years?
Yes, I've
BLM
lived
protests.
here for a
Have you
while.
seen?
What is even that point? Like, why is it not a relevant point? Because it is directly pertinent to whether or not you think that there are crimes that are being justified or not. So do you think it's a crime? Yes or no, right? If you think it's a crime, then why is that not in tension with your belief that someone is pro law and order if you support their action to pardon people for committing that crime? And if you don't think it's a crime, why do you not think it's a crime to stomp on the heads of police officers? And is it okay for people to do that, you know, now?
Okay, I myself have been involved in these protests. I've seen
This guy just admitting to being some kind of weird insurrectionist.
egregious things that you couldn't even imagine.
So we have
being
no
done
I've seen things you couldn't even imagine. What the hell is he?
to
rules then?
conservatives.
Give like what?
It's not about that. It's
What's it
about
about?
tribal
This guy is.
warfare.
Okay.
That's what
This guy's absolutely brain rotted. His mention of tribal warfare here made me think that he probably is into like Liver King and the whole weird conspirituality space. You know, like you remember the shaman guy. These people have some weird ideas about tribes, and the invocation of warfare is just very weird. It's also incredibly inconsistent with the way that these people often have white supremacist views that will put down, you know, people from foreign countries with different skin colors as being backwards and tribal when they're endorsing undermining a modern liberal democracy in favor of tribal warfare. You know, just I wish this guy's mother didn't drink as much when she was pregnant.
where we're at in the U.S. I don't know where you're at in the UK. You're from India, so I don't really.
I'm not from India.
Oh, you sorry. Your parents are from India, so
I'm an American
you have
citizen.
your own states.
I'm an American, you know.
Whether and you're from your dad and his first cousin. What does it matter where I'm from?
You're an American citizen. Okay,
Yes.
fair enough. I don't know how you got that, but fair enough. Here's
I don't know how you got that. What is wrong with these people?
the thing.
Are you an American citizen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But here's the
Not
thing.
sure how you got that. Okay.
Born here.
And what's funny about that is I bet this guy is against Trump's, is in favor of Trump's abolishing of birthright citizenship. But
Born here, and my family lineage is settlers from the 1500s, so I have some stake in the
Okay.
claim here. Okay,
But you're
a little different.
But you're a
than yours.
descendant of immigrants.
oh, what you happen to be spewed out of your mother's pussy on this bit of land, but you have more of a right to be here than someone who probably contributes more economically in terms of tax revenues and has worked to educate themselves in the culture, values, and history of the place to the point of not just passing a citizenship, but actively contributing to trying to engage in informing the public about the Constitution, which they took an oath to defend, and to combat misinformation and harmful politics opposing it. And you think that you have more of a right because your lazy ass was born on the land. Like,
Settlers.
I didn't know.
Colonialists.
Yeah,
You don't
colonials.
look, you don't
yeah.
look very Native American to me.
Native. I am Native American. Whites
not.
are Native Americans. What are you
Sorry,
talking about?
You're not.
What are you talking about?
why are they applauding that? These people are literally lunatics.
You're not.
Whites are Native Americans.
Really?
Why the fuck are they applauding that? Just what like honestly, what do you even do about this? I don't even know. What do you do about this? What did how,
I think
What was
these people need like some kind of, they need to be like sectioned.
happening before the
I-
1500s?
There is like a mass, so there's a mass psychosis going on amongst Americans. What the fuck is this? This is like, this is some weird group psychosis.
I think you're getting confused with it.
I don't mind going on a tangent, but what was happening before the 1500s?
Calm down. I think you're getting.
What was happening before the 1500s?
There was indigenous people
Calm down, or what? Do I remind you of your wife and you might get punchy? Like
here that came here from
Do you know
Asia.
what indigenous means?
Listen, before
Indigenous
America,
people can't come from somewhere else.
Why do you ask a question if you're going to interrupt?
I'm not sure if you know what the meaning of indigenous
look at how he's trying to lurch now.
means.
I do know what it means. It
Doesn't
means
sound
they
like
came here first, right? They came here from Asia by way of land bridge. Have an argument with Neil deGrasse Tyson or anybody else about that. I don't care.
Is he in
I
America?
genuinely don't care. Yes, he is.
Okay, just checking.
My point is, okay.
Nothing to do with crime. So far, you've agreed with me that these people
Because
are
you're
criminals.
derailing, dude. I'm trying
You
to stay on
literally
track.
sat down and asked me where I'm from. I think you derailed this conversation from the get-go.
by that, but I'm because
I'm
I'm
not
always
offended. I'm
curious.
just wondering what it
Because
has to do
I'm
with crime.
always curious.
We're going to talk about
why-
immigration. Don't worry. Later on, you can come back.
I hope so.
Right now, you're doing a very bad job of making the case that he's not pro-crime.
I just
and
got a
pro-criminal.
round of applause. I could probably get another one actually if I asked for it.
Wow.
So I
Look at these idiots as well. Just waiting to come to this guy's defense in their little safe space.
I don't think I'm
Is this
doing
how
as
you
bad.
get rounds of applause? You sit in a room with 20 people who agree with you. Wow, amazing.
I
Amazing. That
well,
must
wait,
It would have been, I think, it would have hurt this guy's ego more to push on the masculinity button to say that's very like manly and tough of you.
until
feel
this comes
good.
out, you know what? I'm
20
actually
people
glad
agree
you're
with
getting
you,
this
applauded you.
emotionally outraged right
Wow.
now. This is great.
I love it.
Do I have to say anything at this point, or are you just going
Please.
to keep going?
Please.
Okay.
Make your claim.
My claim is that I don't care if it's pro-crime. You
Okay,
want to go back to the topic of conversation?
That's fine. We agree then.
So,
He's pro-crime
But
and
I
you
have
don't
a
care.
question for you, though. Do you care on the opposite side of the spectrum?
Yes.
Do you care about law being administered
Yes.
to the opposite side of the
Yes.
spectrum?
I think
when they're
anyone
the
who
same?
assaults a police officer shouldn't be pardoned. I think that Donald Trump shouldn't have pardoned 9 Republican members of Congress who were convicted of crimes. And I don't think Joe Biden should commit. I don't think
you
Democrats should
understand-
pardon Democrats.
Fair, but I don't
We
think
both
you
agree.
understand where we are on the.
He says fair only when Mehdi criticizes something Biden does. He says fair, and everything else he says completely unfair. What a lunatic! What like so? Mehdi's being agree or disagree. Mehdi's perfectly consistent with his principles and values on this point.
You asked that.
I think I do.
No, because you're
I think I do
arguing
this for
from
a
a
living.
position of like an.
So is he consistent? And do you have a point against him? No. Are you consistent? Who the fuck even knows? What even are your values?
A U.S. that doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
We're headed towards
So
tribal-
nihilism, no laws, nothing matters.
It's not about
Everyone's pro-crime.
It's not about that. It's that
It's not about nihilism. It's about power for my in-group.
conservatives. Conservatives for too long have been playing it safe. They've been playing
By conservatives here, he means fascists. He definitely doesn't mean conservatives.
by the law.
Really?
They've been
They've
playing
been
it by the
playing by
book.
the law.
Yes, they have.
Maybe
We're
you
so-
missed the Bush presidency.
conservatives
Did you
are
live
so-
And this is the other thing as well, where these people live inside of these grievance narratives, where it's like we've been kept down for too long, and now it's finally our time, and it only indicates a complete ignorance of history. You know, were they playing it too safe during McCarthy, during fucking McCarthyism? Was that too safe when they were hounding people who disagreed with them out of jobs?
during the Bush years?
Conservatives are
Didn't
so
play by the
concerned.
law, George W.
Let me
Bush, nor did
finish.
Ronald Reagan.
Let's be respectful to you. Let me finish.
I'm not sure you've been that respectful,
It-
but okay.
I'm trying to bring it back, so let's both bring it back.
That's
Okay.
good.
I'm conservative. Okay.
Really?
Let me tell you this: we do play it too safe. We've been playing it by the book for too long.
Maybe I should just accept the co-opting of conservatism by fascists at this point and just abandon the term. I don't know.
At this point, gloves are off. Right? The
If the gloves are off, what are you doing talking?
left has made their point. They're willing
Are
to
the
do.
police force in Washington the left?
Yes.
why were
Are
they
you
assaulting?
kidding me? The left? Are
Oh,
you
wow.
are you
Police
insane?
officers.
Look. Okay. Look at
Wow.
LA right here. You think those stand down? Those stand
You
down.
think the LAPD are a bunch of liberal Marxists?
No, but I
Really?
think they listen to liberal Marxists who tell them what to do.
What does that even mean? Who are the liberal Marxists?
I think they listen to who.
I'd be surprised if this guy has any idea of what Marxism is and could point to a single US politician who believed in Marxist economic theory and was implementing it.
signs their paychecks at the end
Can I
of the
just
day.
check,
who are
because
liberal
you're doing lots
Marxists.
of little diversions. We both agree Donald Trump's pro-crime. You're just fine with it.
I don't even know if I could point to any. Like even the people on the more far left of the US political spectrum, like Bernie Sanders or AOC, I don't know that they believe in like the labor theory of value or something, or that they believe in like the logic of capitalism and the way that that causes things, or in like literal class, like I think that they believe in wealth inequality and things. I don't know if they believe in the same sorts of dynamics of class oppression as are in Marxist theory. Maybe I'm not denying that there's some overlaps and similarities, of course, but I'd find it hard to point to a single American politician who is really Marxist, you know?
No,
Is that the
I
position?
don't
That's what
agree
you've said
with
so
your-
far
I
for
don't
about
agree with your
5 minutes.
I don't agree with your definition.
What's
of
your
crime.
definition of crime?
It doesn't
Stomping
matter.
on a police officer's head
No,
is not a
what-
crime. That's
no,
your
what I'm
definition
saying-
of crime as the
He keeps getting
Native
me out of-
American,
I am Native American.
if you
Okay,
say so.
So going back to the topic
I just call him like a little immigrant boy. He'd hate that.
at hand, we have different definitions of crime because you're
That's
talking about.
convenient. There's a
It's not
criminal
about-
code
it's
in
not
this
about
country.
what's
It's called the
convenient.
U.S. Criminal Code.
You know what? Let's focus
That's
on
what
what we
everyone
agree on.
focuses
I'm
on.
sure you and I actually agree on a
Do
lot
we
more than
agree
you
that
realize.
people shouldn't stomp on police officers' heads? Can we agree on that? If
I'm
you don't
not-
agree on that, then I really think this conversation is kind of
No,
pointless.
because first of all, you're saying what? That the police have the authority, that they're given the authority. I don't accept the authority that's been
it's a
given
very
by liberal
conservative
Marx.
position.
I'm
Or the conservative are pro-police.
Then you
Or
don't
we
know what a
redefine-
real. Hey, listen,
So
you're
we
in a room
redefine
with
crime.
juggernauts right now.
We
Okay?
redefine-
I'm telling
You're in a room with juggernauts.
you right now,
Conservatives.
you are going to be blown
I
open.
mean-
if
You're going to be blown open. What the
Crime.
fuck?
juggernauts right now.
We
Okay?
redefine
I'm telling you right now,
conservatives.
you are going to be blown
I
open
mean,
if you think
Yeah,
that my
if we're going to
position is
struggle with
hard
the
right,
English language
have
for the
no
next couple
idea.
hours,
If you think my position is hard right, you have no idea. Is this incredibly unintelligent man confessing to knowing some of the other people who are in the room and knowing views that they've espoused about things that they would like to do? And is he saying that they are incredibly evil people? I don't know, but that is how I'm interpreting his incredibly unintelligent brain as emoting in this.
blown
I
open
mean,
if you think
yeah,
that my
if we're going to
position is
struggle
hard
with the
right,
English
you
language
have
for the
no
next couple
idea
hours, then yeah,
what
we'll
you're up
struggle.
against right now. Okay?
100%.
Yeah. Newsflash: the conservatives are liberal to me. Okay. Neocons, libertarians, all those mainstream people, they might as well be leftists to me. Okay. That's how far to the right I am. Do you
Right.
understand my position? So when
I
you
kind
say,
of guessed it when you
when
sat
you
down.
say, about obeying police, why would I give the authority to police? Do
you
you know
think-
here? Do you know here in
Do you
America?
think, do you
do
think
you
Donald
know
Trump
here
should be
in America-
pardoning 9 members of Congress
Do you
who
know
committed
who-
financial crimes? Are
Let
you
me see
pro?
if I can remember
Are
his
you
name
pro
right, because
financial
it's so-
crime?
Do you know
You
who
pro
Thomas-
financial crime?
Do you know
All
who
right,
Thomas
pause.
Timbo is?
Pause.
I think the people who claim
Okay. Will I look at just tweak guy for a second? Maybe I will, just
the
to.
lower wages.
What do you mean? Where's the lower wages?
Where are the lower wages?
Yeah, so you can
What's
look
the
at the-
basis for saying no lower wages?
Sure. So you can look at like the STEM industry. It's been in like a complete and total recession. Company
And the immigrants for all known
That right.
raised innovation.
Who's
price.
I know you did, right? Irrigation issues, Normalization issues, right? Into an area, natives leave. Kim ETAL 2013 did declining wages.
Something for by paying
So when you're bringing all these
Great.
people
Oh,
coming in,
there's one funny interaction in this. Which was
yeah,
the
let's hear it.
majority of studies say that wages are not impacted
The
by
majority of your
migration over
studies
time.
are flawed. That's what I'm
They're not
telling
my
you.
studies.
Right.
Neither of us are economists. It's the economist
Don't
studies.
don't assume who I am.
Are you an economist?
I could be.
But
Right.
are you?
I could be.
Are you?
I'm not going to tell you.
Are you?
I'm
Are
going to
you?
major in economics,
Are
right?
you an economist?
No, not right
Okay,
now.
so when I said neither is economist, I was correct.
Just don't assume
To use your
things.
favorite word.
See here,
don't assume thing.
Are you an economist?
no, not right
Okay,
now.
so when I said neither is economist, I was correct.
Just don't assume
To use your
things.
favorite word.
This guy,
See here, dude, this is
and then he's like looking for support from the audience.
nothing of substance. You look at the red flags; they're coming up. Let me get
That's
to the point.
great, but
So
you're
when you
not an
talk about
economist.
the
This person needs help.
CBO, one thing you're not accounting for here is that they're assuming an equilibrium, right? Do you know what that means? You shouldn't make these type of assumptions. You said earlier that unemployment.
Do I
was
know
like
what it means? I thought we're not doing assumptions.
Okay, hold on. You mentioned we were like at like 4.2% unemployment. Yeah, that's counting people who have part-time jobs. That's counting
That's how
poverty
it's always
wages.
been counted.
Yeah, and
I'm against poverty wages.
You
Can we
won't let
agree
me-
again?
yes, if you look out for things, only work part-time. If you put so labor shortage, we have
Shortage as the
me
immigrants
ask you a
question that you think that Republicans and
Look, what the fuck is this?
rid of all immigrants coming in tomorrow, moratorium. You think that Republicans and employers of big firms just suddenly raise all the wages.
notice
That's
how
what
you
Okay, fuck this. That whole thing was just horrifying. Back to the chat for a little bit. These are exactly Andrew Wilson's views they're parroting. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that there is an information network, right, that is also connected to money from foreign powers, should we say, who happen to have the same religion that they use for propaganda that many of these people are converting to. Caveman, intellectual nihilists like fascists, which only care about cloaking insecurity and cheerleading social domination. Yeah. Mehdi did great, but I worry his facial expression will come across as too submissive and breedable, which would be good, except people might perceive it as weakness. They'll probably just feel confused at the breedability. Yep, genuinely terrifying. And I think that I guess my hope is that this radicalizes the moderate, seeing this sort of thing, you know, just because I think there are a lot of people who are just not aware of what is happening. Yeah, Joe says Bernie's pretty close to Marxist. Yeah, I don't disagree that it's like pretty close, but what I mean is I don't think there's anyone who's like just openly promoting like Marxist economic theory and saying, yeah, I think this is true and that's what's driving my policies or something, you know. I don't even mean that as like a Mott and Bailey, as in I think that there are obviously influences and aspects and I'd be open to those, but what I want to show is that this accusation of someone being a Marxist is such, you know, it's exactly what they say fascism is for people who disagree with them, even though a lot of them openly support being fascists, is that if you characterize and understand Marxism in terms of the economic theories of Marx, well then, you know, there's a very particular set of beliefs that someone would have about value, money, class warfare, and the direction of history and the logic of capitalism that you would adopt that would make you a Marxist, right? And I don't think that the word is being used by these people to mean that someone believes those things and they think that those are bad and wrong theories economically. I think that the people who are using that label just mean by it that you support some kind of vaguely socialist policies, and I just label everything that disagree, everything other than laissez-faire. Well, in the past it would be laissez-faire capitalism, but increasingly it's becoming fascism because they in fact happen to believe in state intervention when it's their strongman authoritarian doing it in, you know, in accordance with oligarchs that are on board with the party line. But yeah, so it's not to say that there isn't a closeness or a resemblance between Bernie's views and Marxism, but just to say that I think that there's quite a big wedge or a big gap between the way that the word is being used and what would more accurately be characterized as Marxism. And it's not even really clear there are any US politicians who are even like that, which I think shows how different US political discourse is to a discourse within which anyone was taking Marxism seriously, you know. Too much pre-workout and Discord debating. Yeah, maybe that's what's going on with that guy with the shakies. You're helping them win if you are their terrifying looking. Terrifying is attractive, especially to men. Laugh at them. They're pathetic and inconsequential. I know what you mean. I think it's worth not being intimidated. I think though what you're saying is actually not taking them seriously, which I think people should actually take them seriously. I think people should treat them like unruly children and make clear that the adults actually have some firm things in place. Types of behavior will not be tolerated. And I think that that's the approach to take with these unruly children, not to simply just laugh at them. Maybe that, I mean, I think that that's appropriate, but I think that people should also have the means to do something about it. It's not just the same religion, but the same Christian sect. Yeah, no, that's literally what I was hinting at with my sarcasm. I was like, isn't it weird that these guys are all becoming Russian Orthodox? How interesting, that the people who happen to be promoting these sectarian values that undermine American democracy are also becoming Russian Orthodox, and how many of those media figures seem to not have full-time jobs and be able to just be online all the time, spreading these talking points and making these arguments. I mean, it's just, weird, right? Weird coincidence that they've joined the Russian Orthodox Church. Could be a weird coincidence. Okay, I 1 hour 11 minutes. I'm kind of done with this. I will at some point in the remainder of this year be doing my promised second part to my fascism documentary, which, I recommend if people are new here or haven't seen that they watch that fascism documentary. I'm going to do the second part on Christo-fascism, which is specifically going to be about theological expressions of fascism and the relationship of religion to fascist politics. And that, I guess, will be slightly more relevant to some of the Christian nationalism stuff than the generic fascism stuff, though I think that has a lot of relevance. And yeah, just incredibly disheartening. I'm very, politically burnt out, and I just wish all this idiocy and crap would go away, but it doesn't seem like it's going to. I hope that people remain sane and can find solidarity in other sane people, and not feel incredibly gaslit by these people and all the bullshit that they're trying to normalize. And I wish and hope that there would be more people who believe in democracy who would be more vocal about what they see, what they believe in, what their values are, and what firm red lines are for them to denounce this stuff. Anyway, yeah, so stay safe, stay sane, make sure you touch some grass today. If you're watching this video and feel particularly bad, talk to some real people, get outside, all that good stuff, and have a good day. I need to actually end the stream, not just leave the studio.